Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. I know you're looking at this and going, John, why in the world are you showing us just an HK VP9, like iron sights, stock gun? Well, this is actually not a VP9. This is an Umarex T4E training for everyone VP9. Shoots rubber balls or dust balls.
Today's video is sponsored by Backstreet Surveillance, Active Self-Protection's trusted source for home and business surveillance. They offer free expert system design and quotes using their Backstreet Surveillance System Design Tool to help you build the perfect system for your application. They also offer nationwide professional installation, remote smartphone monitoring, and their revolutionary 360 4K camera to help you keep track of and protect that which you love. Check them out at the link in the description and thank them for bringing us today's video.
Guys, I can't say enough. If you are going to be a competent defensive shooter, I think you need to get into an arena where you're doing some force-on-force training. I love doing it with realistic firearms. Now, this particular one is made by Umarex. It's a fully licensed copy, and mea culpa, these were sent to me by HK. Bill Dermody, Uncle Bill, thank you very much for that. We're also out here at C2 Tactical in Scottsdale. Thank you to them for allowing us some range time. This is a highly detailed replica of a VP9, down to the fact that it has replaceable side grips and back straps, so you can set this gun up exactly like you set up your VP9 if you have one. Obviously, I carry a P30, but very, very similar. Nifty part here, of course, because it is so highly accurate, it goes in my Dark Star Gear Orion holster and clicks in there just like it should. And so a really cool gun. Now, it's powered by CO2. You see that right here. It can shoot either these black rubber balls out of it, or you can get some marker balls as well. They're like chalk, right? So they're like blue and white chalk. So if you whack somebody, then it leaves a little bit of a mark. Shoots around 250 feet per second. What I'm gonna do today is just do a little bit of accuracy testing, because the things that you need out of a gun like this that you're gonna use for training is you want it to be consistently reliable, right? And so there are some others on the market, and they're kind of big names, and so I don't wanna cause wars or any of that stuff, but we struggle with consistent reliability on them, and they really end up, we spend way more times clearing malfunctions than we should. We spend a whole lot of time maintaining guns, and I just want a gun that's reliable. Bill says these are. I want a gun that is accurate out to reasonable distances. Now, how far is a reasonable distance? Gosh, man, that depends on what you're doing and what your standards are. I'm gonna take a few shots here at a B8 target at 10 yards and see if we can get that. In my opinion, for a force-on-force gun, if you can hold about an 8-inch group at 10 yards, I'll call that good. This particular one, you screw in the CO2 cartridge in the bottom here. I'm not positive how many rounds that's good for. These little rubber balls, so I've been told, are not very fun to get whacked with, but that's part of force on force, right? You'd usually wear a fist helmet for that if you're doing force on force. You probably just get away with glasses if you're doing force on paper. You know, in like a shoot house environment, a safer environment. And if you're doing that, really all you're doing is spending money on the CO2, because you can pick the, you know, vacuum up the rubber balls and use them again. If you're doing paint markers, they're not super duper cheap. Now, as far as cost on this guy, the gun itself, like 230 bucks, which, I mean, is a lot. It's a lot more than a blue gun, right? And probably more than most airsoft guns. But for a highly reliable marker gun, it's actually pretty cheap. The fact of the matter is all the ergonomics are identical too. So you have the same sides on both sides of the gun. So you got the slide stop lever on both sides. You have the paddle mag release on both sides, which is the way you want it, because paddle is life. Where my paddle gang at? Give me some love. And so let's check the accuracy on this guy real quick, shall we? All right, we got that in there. All right, we're looking good on that. Now, here I am, 10-yard line, shooting at that B8 out there. Now, iron sights suck, but we'll go with them. The trigger is definitely heavier and stackier than a VP9, quite a bit there. Let's take 3-4 shots, see what we get. 1. My goodness, the trigger is heavy. 2. 3. Now, I'm not aiming super careful here. 4. Okay, so I got 4 shots downrange. Let's see what we get. Let's go down in range and see what we got. Okay, so on these first 4, 1, 2, 3 right there, and I'm okay. This is about an 8-inch group. That one, not so much. Where'd the 4th one go? It may not have shot, quite frankly. I may not have loaded it correctly on the first one. So that's our first 3. That's kind of concerning, man. That's throwing it a little far right. Let's move into 7 and see kind of where it starts opening up. All right, here we are at 7 yards. Oh, I pushed that one really hard, but not that hard. Okay. We're starting to see a pattern here that this particular gun, I think, throws 2-seam fastballs. Let's take a couple more shots. Yeah, a little bit. Okay. And that's empty, okay. Very interesting. Let's go take a look. All right, we had 2 more hit over here, and then we had 2 that were much closer in here. So kind of the similar that we get in this particular gun, this particular magazine, it's kind of bending some of them to the right and keeping some of them close. Is it highly accurate? No, it's not, quite frankly. Is it acceptable? You know, in a force-on-force gun, sometimes when you kind of get that, we'll put a few more rounds through it, see what we think. Next phase from here is going to be taking a couple of shots with it, see what they feel like. I'll say, from my naked eye, of course, I'm focusing on the front sight. I can't see the round moving downrange, so it's moving pretty quick, is what that means. And that means it's probably going to be ouchy, but that's the way it's supposed to be. You're supposed to pay a pain penalty a little bit in force-on-force. So more to come on these. I'm not telling you to run out and buy one right now. I'm saying it's kind of neat. I will say, man, the trigger on this guy is, without the magazine in it, it's kind of stacky and heavy a little bit. It's really not kind of what I would say, you know, yay VP9, kind of what I'd normally expect there. When you put the magazine in, now, I mean, okay, I think I need some. No, now it's got it. God, let's move this over here so you can see it a little better. Stack, 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 and heavy. It is a heavy, heavy magazine, or heavy trigger rather, for sure with the magazine in. So it's heavier than a VP9 for sure as far as a trigger. So is this gonna be the gun that you wanna do 1,000 reps of dry fire with? I don't think so, because the trigger is different than your VP9. Is it a useful tool in force-on-force? I think it is. Frankly, I'd kind of rather it not be black, frankly, because it looks too much like a real gun, and that makes for a little bit more difficulty in identifying it. I'd rather the whole thing be blaze orange or the whole thing be blue. And then that way it can be easily identified as a training gun and a gun that cannot be loaded with a live magazine. So what I will probably do with these before we use them in force-on-force is I will probably mark it in a significant way. I'll probably maybe use some Sharpie on it or something like that that identifies it in a very bright way as a training gun, and then that way we know that it's a training gun. But I think it's kind of cool. So at any rate, here's a kind of first steps, first shots. It's worth maybe taking a look at.